They do.
Yeah, well, okay. Yes, that is a fact. They do have a voice. Yeah, Balz, we are getting to the point, and I had this happen a few times on Sundays as well, where everybody's like, well, you can't take the president at his word all the time like this. And are we in that position now, that we're all conditioned, that we all have to be conditioned that not everything he says or tweets is true?
I don't think so. And I think that the reaction to those tweets is evidence that people are not, callous to the idea that we shouldn't pay attention to this. He's the president of the United States. He made a shocking accusation. The White House has run away from it since then. The administration as a whole has run away from it. I mean, they are, you have to wonder whether there is anybody around the president who believes there is any veracity to this tweet.
Hugh, it seems to me, if nothing else, the one thing I take away from this is there's still nobody in that White House that can tell him no.
Well, there's the only piece of evidence supporting any kind of an assertion, it doesn't support the one he made, is that General Flynn was subject of some sort of surveillance, because that was leaked.
Was he the subject, or was it Kislyak that was being under surveillance?
So we have to, some kind of surveillance existed. However, my first job in the executive branch was as the special assistant to two attorney general that would review a foreign intelligence surveillance application to the court. The president has nothing to do with that, ever. President Obama would have nothing to do with a counterintelligence division application. So no one exists, you are right, yet to say, Mr. President, may I review the tweets with you before you put them out? That's the person that needs to be there, because that tweet would not have gone out with even a cursory review by anyone who has any kind of intelligence background.
Jen, and I know that President Obama and Hillary Clinton were different media consumers than this president. This president wants more. You work for two people that hated press. And but
does Trump love the press?
I don't. I think he loves the press. He loves to hate the press. I don't know. He's obsessed with the press.
It's different.
But how often would you give him reading material that you knew was potentially untrue, but you thought it was important that he see that it was out there?
President Obama read a lot of press. He famously had it on his iPad, and he wouldn't get clips. He would
don't admit he has a Politico app. I remember that was like such a thing. Don't want Politico to know that he actually read it.
I might have seen that there was a Politico app. There was also an Atlantic app and a New Yorker app. There were times where we would say you should not give it to him, but say you should be aware of this, that this is out there. It's not true, but you should be aware of it. You may hear about it, it may come up.
But you would say it's not true.
Well, sure, we would say it's not.
Are we confident that if somebody's putting this in this clip, so it's like, look, Breitbart's writing this, you're going to be hearing about this from your donor friends, maybe you're going to hear about this in Mar-a-Lago, it's not true. You think there's anybody that says that to him?
There's no evidence that there's anybody who says that to him.
I think it goes in the other direction. I think they're telling Breitbart what to put in.
Yeah. I mean, everything we've seen in the way he operates is that that's not the case, and that he absorbs information that he sees on TV and accepts that, no matter what the source, as credible if it fits his view of the world.
He's a voracious consumer of different information flows. He might be watching this as we speak. He watches Fox and Friends in the morning. It is not, I don't know what your system was. I know in the President Reagan's White House, there was a very disciplined system for information flow, and the president stayed within those barriers. I think that's gone because of social media now. I think it's completely gone.
Right.
I commend to everybody the piece that my colleague Jenna Johnson wrote today, connecting what was being said on Fox and Friends with the tweets that the president put out over that several-hour period. I mean, they track.
Can I just tell you that we've kept a running list of all the different, he's thrown out a conspiracy theory and it has to have been walked back. Donald Trump calls the raids a military operation. John Kelly says no use of military force. Nikki Haley had a contrast Trump on the two-state solution. McMaster said don't use radical Islamic terrorism, and he's defied that. Mattis had to go to Iraq and say, no, we're not taking the oil. I mean, this is turning into... At what point, Hugh, do Republicans feel uncomfortable apologizing for this?
Well, he's got 90% approval in the Republican Party. 90% of the country that voted for him in the first place believe that he's still speaking truth to power. Right. And they don't care about the niceties that perhaps Manhattan Beltway elites care about. They care about shattering what is perceived as being a protected class. So this discussion does not penetrate into the blue state wall that collapsed. And until it does, I don't think any Republican is going to say, Mr. President, stop.
I think it does. I mean, I think it may not penetrate into his supporters, although that seems to be a diminishing group of people, but it goes beyond just Manhattan and Washington. I mean, this is a part of the reason, I think, why his approval rating is so low. And I think it's important that the press do treat each tweet seriously and chase it down. And what I'm glad to see is that people are not, the general public does not seem to be losing their capacity to be shocked or outraged by what he does. Instead, there appears to be a pile-on impact. It's not diminishing any one activist. I think that take the cumulative impact of all those things that you cited that are not true, it's hurting him.
I think over time, that's going to be the issue. Quick word.
I was just going to say, I think that the one key is elected Republican officials.
Yes.
In a sense, more than Trump loyalists in the states. If they eventually, and you have to believe they will, become so uncomfortable with that style of leadership, with those accusations, then he's got a big problem.
But Hugh's right. Until then, they also see the poll number.